All right, well, welcome into the podcast. My buddy, now a veteran, Tyson Bagent. Tyson, where's the podcast finding you today?
Say that last part again.
Where's the podcast finding you today? Where are you at right now?
Right now, I'm in the crib in Lincolnshire.
In Lincolnshire. Nice. So now everyone knows where you're at. That's good stuff. All right, well, appreciate you coming on. Been doing this. Just want to highlight guys so that everyone kind of gets to know everybody on the team. And you're next up here. So, obviously now you're a wily vet. You know, I know we joke about it that you got past that third game and you're no longer a rookie anymore. But kind of give everybody a background of where football started for you and you know your college process and then coming into the NFL last year.
Yeah. So the entirety of my football career has happened in the Eastern Panhandle of West Virginia, about 45 minutes in between DC and Baltimore. Um, Played youth league football there. Played middle school football there. Played high school football at Martinsburg High School. Was able to, I was a 3-year starter. Won a couple state championships. And then didn't really get the offers that I thought I would get for college. Had the University of Albany and Robert Morris in Pittsburgh, two really low struggling D1 programs. But then I had Shepherd University D2 powerhouse right 10 minutes away from where I lived my whole life. And so I had grown up going to the games. They were, always super successful, playing, for regional championships, national championships. And they threw the ball 30 times a game. They always had a good quarterback at the school, and they were letting it rip. So ultimately made the decision to go play there. Was able to win the job my freshman year and got to play 60 games as a starter. Threw for a bunch of touchdowns, a couple regional championships, Division II Heisman, and was able to cap it off with throwing the most touchdowns in college football history. So it was pretty sweet, amazing gig. And luckily, it was kind of what you have to do if you play at that level. You kind of just have to go off every single game of your whole career in order to get a shot. But the quarterback that was there before me got a shot with the Redskins at the time. Now the Commanders. So I knew I was better than him. So if I just did what I was supposed to do, I knew if I just did what I was supposed to do, I would at least get a shot. So that was basically all I could ask for. So that's
That's
basically my
awesome.
journey. Yeah.
So did you always play quarterback growing up? Like, how'd you know you wanted to be a quarterback? And obviously, that's a big path to go down and making that decision of committing to the quarterback position. When did you know that you could do it at the next level? And did you ever dabble with any other positions growing up?
Yeah. Well, yeah. It was forced on. It was forced onto me by my dad when I was 6, and then I would say I didn't really super fall in love with it until like sophomore year of high school, whenever I wanted to start a job, and I'm playing with older kids and it was fun and whatever. That's when I kind of really fell in love with it. But not totally forced onto me by my pops. Always wanted me to be a quarterback. Lucky for me, I wasn't like a super stud athlete when I was younger, so like quarterback was kind of perfect because I had a good arm, but I wasn't like the fastest guy, so I couldn't play running back or receiver or anything like that. But as far as other positions, I played tight end and linebacker a little bit, like in youth league. Obviously, that I wasn't a very good tackler. Once dudes got bigger and everything, I wasn't really about that life. So stuck with quarterback. Um, and shit, playing at the next level, I probably realized that once I started having success in college, just because I knew that guys I was playing against were getting chances at the next level, and I was handling business, so I just, I felt like, I had a shot.
And then going back to high school, when you're not getting the offers you want, are you kind of like, what the heck's going on, or what was that whole deal like, and how did you kind of navigate that to finally, obviously you looked at Shepherd and saw what that pumped out quarterback wise in years past, but what was that initially like when you're not getting the offers that you would expect?
Yeah, it was. It's not really, well, it was honestly, it was the strangest thing I've ever been through in my life, just because, I'm the same height as I am now, my senior year in high school. Um, I had won 2 state championships. We're going to all these 7-on-7 tournaments. There's playing against these guys with, this many offers and we're handling business, but I'm balling out all the time. Can't believe I'm not getting these offers and other dudes are. There's even dudes on my team that, especially West Virginia is the offer. If you're a West Virginia kid, West Virginia is the offer that, you're always looking to get. So it was kind of this thing where like teams like James Madison, West Virginia, Maryland, the Western Kentuckys, they would just flirt with me, and then all of a sudden it would just dwindle away and not be there anymore. And I went to the camp, did the camps, really tried my best to put myself out there. So, but I think when you're a high school kid, that can kind of get to your head a little bit. So I was probably just tripping about it more than I needed to. Because I mean, once you step, no matter where you go, once you step foot on campus and you're with the team or whatever, and you got a team to beat and you're preparing and everything, all that goes out of the window. Especially since I was having so much success early on, the whole D1 thing really kind of it was able to escape my mind pretty quickly. But it was a bit of just a head scratcher. Just wondering, what is it that these guys have that I don't have, and took me a long time to realize that whatever that was didn't exist. That I had, whatever else everybody else had. So it was just a bit of a weird thing, but definitely happy with how it all played out.
So then you get to college, you throw for like 1,000,000 yards, all that stuff. What type of plays are you guys running where you're throwing for all these yards every single game? And did you have any sort of running game at all?
Yeah, it was a lot of West Coast, inside zone, outside zone, and we ran inside zone, outside zone, counter, and pin and pull. Those were our base run schemes, and then we would just. I had three different offensive coordinators in college. The first guy I had, he was a little more like, by the book, kind of, vanilla schemes, which was good because I was young. I didn't really know anything about football yet. Then my junior year, when I won the D2 Heisman, I mean, our RPO game got wicked. And just, I think that kind of broadened my horizon with just like, how cool football is. Because, I mean, we would just be like, we would go like 2 by 2 with the tight end lined up to the field and two receivers into the boundary, have the slot run a go ball, and have the outside guy run your Sharpie. And then we would read the field safety. If he inserts to the run, to the pin and pull to the field, then you know that the boundary safety is going to roll with the go. And then you could just have this freaking Sharpie route coming across the field with nobody there. And just like, really just little things like that where you're just throwing the ball all over the field. Every play is essentially a pass play. Just because it's hard to get good offensive linemen at the D2 level. So we basically, you got your five guys that are good enough to rock with, but you're not leaning on those guys for like many 4-minute drives or anything like that. Like, it was just an explosive deal, and yeah, that was kind of what was happening. But yeah, a lot of inside zone, outside zone, RPOs, and then just all the concepts that we run in Chicago.
Did you do any under center? Were you in huddle at all? How was the whole operation of that type of stuff? And
No, it was all no huddle signals. We had if we were backed up, we went under center, and if we had goal line packages that were under center, and then kind of just sporadically we would do like some play action out of from under center, but very limited. About 8% of the time we were under center, and then as far as huddle calls, if it was like 4-minute offense trying to run out the clock, we would huddle. And if like a certain like plays that are too long to signal, we would huddle and call the plays there. But definitely a lot different than how things work at the NFL level.
yeah, so you throw for all these yards, even at the beginning of your career in college. Was there any thought of transitioning over to a Division I school, and what did that look like for you?
Yeah. So first 2 year, freshman, sophomore year, do well, whatever. Going into my third year, COVID happens. The whole season's canceled, so we didn't do anything. We had like 8 practices the whole time, but people kept getting COVID, and we had to quarantine, and whatever. It was a mess. That happens. Then the next year, my junior year, that's when all million touchdowns, D2 Heisman, whatever. I get into the transfer portal. And just I'm getting blown up, right? But I've completed all my classes to graduate, except I had an internship. That's all I needed to do. I just had an internship with Shepherd that I had to do to complete my degree, and that was it. Class wise, I was done. So I didn't know how the transfer portal worked. I just knew that there was like I was getting illegal phone calls before I was in the portal. So me and my dad were like, "Holy shit! Like if Marshall University's calling us illegally, who knows what could happen if I put my name in? You know, maybe I can go to Alabama or go somewhere crazy, right?" So get in the portal, getting blown up, scheduling official visits, take my first 2 visits to West Virginia and Maryland. Realize right there that obviously you can't just transfer to a school and start right off where you left off school wise academically. You have to obtain a certain number of credits before being able to graduate. So realize that would have set me back a year and a half in school. And my granddad was about to die, and he really was only worried about my academic success. And I was already having so much success at Shepherd. I was having fun. I love my coach. We were going to have a good team the next year coming back for my senior year. There's these things, I can break, all these records, whatever. And then, so it didn't seem worth it at the time. And it all worked out. Granddad passed away 2 weeks after I graduated. Had an amazing senior season, broke a bunch of records. But I did get in the portal, and it was nuts. And it was right around when NIL was starting to become a thing. So it was kind of like felt illegal when you talked about it, but it was still kind of like, out there in the open of just like, hey, you come here, this is kind of what we have going on. So yeah, it was crazy.
So you finish up at Shepherd, and you're getting ready for draft stuff, I assume. And were you expecting to get drafted? Were you surprised that you went undrafted? How did that all go for you, landing in Chicago?
Yeah. Well, so throughout my senior football season, got invited to the Reese Senior Bowl. They came to practice and invited me to the Reese Senior Bowl. Got invited to the NFL Combine. So yeah, I was completely shocked that I didn't get. I thought I was going in like the fifth or sixth. I thought I would go in the fifth or sixth round. So yeah, I mean, I had a draft party and everything. So yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised that I didn't get drafted. But I knew it.
Draft party. What was that draft party like?
I had a big feeling. I had a pretty good idea that I was going to go to Chicago though. Like I thought that Chicago was going to draft me in the fifth.
So,
sixth,
but what was that? Okay, what was that draft party like when you like? I kind of feel bad for you that happened.
Oh yeah, I mean, really, essentially, I drove across the street to my grandma's house, invited, had my family there and about 7 of my friends. So that's what I mean by draft party. We kind of just sat there and watched the draft, and but
were they like, what the F, dude? Why are you getting picked? Or like what?
Nah, I mean, dude, no. There's 2 guys ever from my area even get like a mini camp invite. So it was like kind of just you had to be ready. You had to have people there just in case. And I almost went pick 248, the second to last pick, of the draft. That almost happened. I think we ended up taking Kendall Williamson, the safety. Yeah. And then even before that, they were gonna take me because we had 2 7th round picks, I think.
Yeah.
And so they were gonna take me the first one. They took Travis Bell, and then they were gonna take me the second one. They took Kendall Williamson. But my deal was, it was awesome. My deal was already done like before the draft ended. Like I already talked to everybody, and and as soon as you realize you're on a team like that, you're just super excited. So it was still a pretty solid time with everybody.
And then talk about going it as an undrafted guy. You come into camp, and it was a pretty deep quarterback room. You had Justin, you had Nate Peterman, you had PJ Walker. So all 3 guys who have played in the league before. What went into that camp for you in terms of being able to get on the 53, which is like crazy impressive as an undrafted rookie quarterback to come in and make the roster like that? What went into that camp, and what did you kind of see unfold where you were able to get on the 53 roster at the end of it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I always look at everything from like a super realistic point of view. So I knew that it was going to be the most just unbelievable, ridiculous uphill battle ahead ever, right? And you got people around you, you got friends and family, you got agents that like. I remember people talking to me right after the deal was done, like, all right, yeah, like just undrafted, trying to figure out where you're going, and they're like, hey man, well in Chicago, obviously they got Justin, but man, you can beat out Nate and PJ. You can beat them out. And, I'm like, I think I'm super good, right? Like, I think I'm great at football.
Sure.
So I'm like, yeah, I hear what you're saying. But in my head, I'm like, let me not forget that these are two dudes in the NFL with families, and they know what it's like. They've played in games. Like, for by no means am I thinking that I'm just about to go in here like everybody around me is telling me and just snatch these two dudes spots. Like, that's ridiculous. So it was almost too much to like process with thinking that I need to go in there and be the QB2. So I just essentially just whatever I was supposed to do every moment, I just tried to do it as best as I could and execute it perfectly as I could. And, thankfully that along with a couple other things, it worked out for me. But it was always just about like, what am I doing this day? How hard can I go this day? What do I need to know this day? And I just tried to never walk into the building with anything on the playbook that I was unaware about.
So now when you look back on your first year, you started, what was it, 4 games, or you played in 4 games, and 2-2 I think was the record. What are some of the biggest takeaways you take from year one, and like biggest learning lessons that you've had being in the league so far?
Yeah, just I mean how just it's all about winning. I mean, I think that's really the only stat that people look at regarding quarterbacks, especially, is just like your win-loss record. So understanding how important that is, and just really understanding how pivotal every single play could potentially be, and just really situational football. I think in college, it was like I'm just out there. The only thing I'm thinking about is score, 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 score. Like, that's really the only thing on my mind. Like, you take the play. Like, a lot of times I wouldn't even think about, like, obviously I had an idea, but, as far as like knowing what the kick line is, and, down clock or down timeout or anything, bingo, ozone, just managing the clock. I didn't know anything about that. So I think that, just the importance of the situational aspect of the league is unbelievable, and just how precious every single play is, because there's about 4 or 5 plays I think that are going to end up defining the game, and you have no clue when they're going to happen. So just trying to be as prepared, have a good pre-snap process before every play, just so you're freaking on your pins and needles, just ready to go, because you never know when the game is gonna be made or gonna go down the shithole.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to it, that's for sure. Okay, last question for me, and then I'm gonna turn over to Adam for a few questions he might have. But what is it like to have a world champion arm wrestling father growing up? What is that like?
Yeah, I think it's gotten cooler. That part of it has gotten way cooler as I've gotten older. I think as a kid, he was just my pops. My dad was just around all the time and would have to go arm wrestle every once in a while. So it wasn't like a big thing. But now I'm like looking at stuff on YouTube, and it's just awesome to go back and watch. But the arm wrestling aspect, he's just a crazy dad. Just always had us working out, doing stuff, sports year round, just super involved. Even if he wasn't the coach, he's that dude that's like basketball. He was never like a basketball guy. So whenever it was basketball season, he would always think that my coach was a dumbass, and he would always sit on the front. He's always on the front row, and he would essentially coach from the stands. Just always just crazy loud. Did not care who was around. Just all the stuff. So it's awesome having him as my pops.
Adam?
Yeah, Travis Bagent's a big CHGO guy, by the way.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He's I don't know, him and Mark Carmen have become besties for some reason.
Oh, that's cool. Well, shout out to the pops if he's listening. That's awesome.
Oh, he'll be watching for sure. Hey.
Oh yeah. He's gonna call me right when this is over.
Well, speaking of that, so where were you guys in the preseason? Because I think this was on Hard Knocks, where there was actually an arm wrestling competition at one of the road games.
That was in Kansas City.
That's right. So, like, was that pre-planned? Was that just like, are there pickup arm wrestling things you could just show up to?
Right. Here's basically what that is. That is my dad being a pimp is what that is. he gets the schedule. As soon as he gets the schedule, right? He coordinates he plans his events accordingly. So he had planned to have an arm wrestling tournament in Kansas City the day before the game, just so he can make money, kill two birds with one stone, watch me play the next day. He kills it.
That's smart. I like that. I like that. All right. Well, that's fantastic. Bringing this back to football, a couple serious questions. So I don't know that fans really understand the life of the backup quarterback during the season. I think it's maybe one thing we haven't touched on yet in this interview. It's like, so did you have to be Jaden Daniels in practice last week?
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, give the defense a look, whoever the quarterback is that day. And they usually have like tips, like whoever, Kevin, our defensive guy, will come to me and be like, hey, this week, he takes a deep drop and he likes to escape to his right. So if, you ever run in a play and stuff doesn't work out, have that plan. So just a little like that.
So my follow-up to that is like, how much work is that? Because obviously you're also the guy that needs to know everything about your offense. Go in, be ready to start if you need to, come in at any point in the game. It's one of the most important jobs there is on the team. And yet during the week, you're not getting a ton of reps. And in fact, some of the reps you're getting are actually on the other team. That doesn't sound easy to me. So like, how do you process that every week?
I just go about my business every week with just like in my head with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. Shout out to Harbaugh. But all I do basically is when I'm serving the defense a look, I play as hard as I can and I try to compare it to something that we have in our offense so that I can steal a rep. And then when we go on offense, I also take all those reps 10 yards behind Caleb. So I just take every single rep every day, every week. And it's the easiest job in the world because the alternative is being a plumber or a teacher.
I mean, I love that mentality. And he's not
you
kidding.
should see it, but you should see him like when he says he takes every rep. I know, like, I don't know if he's BS or if he's just trying to be funny right now or whatever, but he's real about that mindset. And if you watch him on film of every play that we run in practice, he's literally doing the play right behind Caleb, right in front of Flus every single time. I will say it is impressive to watch, and it's really cool to see him. That is the type of dedicate you need to have. Like, it just, you can't waver on
it's
it.
Always like, as soon as you get into the thought process of, oh man, being the backup or being in the NFL, like, holy smokes, so much on your plate. Wow, it's got to be just so difficult and just rough and I don't even let myself get there just because you basically just get to work out and play football for a living. And obviously learning the plays isn't the easiest thing in the world, but I mean, wow. I mean, it's just an unbelievable situation that we're all in. So that's kind of how but yeah, giving the defense a look as far as like how much that is on my plate, that's the funnest part of my week, just because that's what I'm playing. That's when I get to play. So that's kind of just how I go about it. And then just try to, if we're playing a fast quarterback, try to be as fast as I can. If we're playing Kirk Cousins, try to stay in the pocket as long as I can.
Well, and I can tell you, we only get to watch practices during training camp, but it was not lost on us that of all the quarterbacks, you carry out your fakes with way more enthusiasm and finish than anybody else. Like, that's obvious on every single rep. No, I'm being serious now. Like,
wow, no, seriously, I've been doing that since I was 16 years old, and this is the first time somebody's complimented it. So that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, and finally it came to fruition. I love it.
You've really been doing it that long?
Well, yeah. I mean, I had my first coordinator in college was like a drill sergeant when it came to that, of just not being a lazy POS. What you always have something to do on every play, and always just trying to. Because I mean, essentially, when you start doing it a lot, like I've kind of gotten to like the science of it, and I really just try to pay attention to it. So it's like anytime I can get like a second level defender to jab step to me or like hesitate for a split second, I like to think in my head that if the run crease, I that guy won't be able to make the tackle now, or it'll be a tougher tackle, or maybe we'll be out the gate and have an explosive, and just whatever I can do to help the team, and getting once again being able to just run around and work out even more. Unbelievable.
I love it.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Well, Tyson, we appreciate you. Thanks for coming on. I know it went a little longer than expected, but all good stuff here, and I think people will learn a lot from this. So appreciate you, and I'll see you in the building tomorrow.
Comment. Appreciate you, bro.
All right, man.